Hey, welcome back. We have a nice new knife here. And let's get into it. This is an exciting one. A friend of the channel bought it, decided that they didn't want it, and sold it back to the channel at table price. Which, once you see what knife this is, I think you'll be as delighted as I am, because these unfortunately do not often sell at table price because a bunch of people go on and buy them and then scalp them for more than the table price, while the rest of us would love to buy them but aren't as fast at checking out apparently. So this is the Brown Knives Mini FSD, and this is a particularly interesting one because it's the latest run, which for the first time is available in 20 CV. Super cool. This is number 136, it looks like. It's a little unclear there, actually. 136. And this was part of a run of, I guess you'd call them semi-customs that recently came out. And he ordered it, got cold feet of having, well, I don't know what it cost, $850 and a knife, and decided he'd love to see me get it. So I appreciate that. And there it is. Fantastic. 20 CV on a Mini FSD for the first time. They did the first 100 plus in 154 cm. So I feel very, very lucky to have this. It took me a lot of coaxing to get another friend to sell me this one, which is the other pattern. This is pattern 1, and this is pattern 2. These pattern 2s do not come up a lot, it seems like. They are pretty well loved by the people that own them. And I convinced them to sell it to me, which was much appreciated, and have really enjoyed it and having it in the collection. Oops, even if I don't know how to use it properly, twice in a row. This one does feel like it almost needs to get just a little bit of oil in it. So I'm probably gonna take a look at that and put a little oil in that one where it, on the bearings or something, I don't know. This one's a little rougher. Yeah, I guess that one's pretty similar too. User error as usual on this channel. I am not an expert, folks, just an enthusiast. And by enthusiast, I mean I'm enthusiastic about knives. But yeah, this has been a cool one to have, one that I've really enjoyed just looking at its mesmerizing pattern. And this one was, again, 154 cm as marked here. The dash whatever is the blade steel that gets used. The first number is the serial number, so this is 96 and 154 cm. And 40 models later, number 136 in 20 CV. This thing's super cold because it's like 30 degrees out right now. So anything that looks a little funny on it may be related to the temperature. Now this pattern number 1 is actually a little different. It may not be super obvious, but it's a little different than pattern number 1 on the Brown FSD full size. Let me find one really quickly over here, and I'll point out what I mean by that. All right, here is pattern number 1 on the FSD full size, and you'll see the difference I'm referring to pretty quickly, which is that this one runs sort of these horizontal boxes, if you will, or rectangles the whole way. So it's one consistent pattern from top to bottom, whereas this one runs, I said horizontal, I mean vertical. This one runs, I guess it depends which way you're looking at it. This way it's horizontal. This one runs the boxes the other way, or the rectangles the other way, and then they actually get smaller as it fades to the bottom, so it's a little bit of this pattern 2 effect that's available now on the Mini FSD. This pattern was never offered on the full-size FSD. The 2 other patterns for the full-size are totally different than either of these. So this is actually kind of more similar, pattern 1 on the full-size and pattern 2 on the Mini, and then this is actually a new pattern. Although it's similar generally to this, it doesn't have that sort of fadeaway style to it. And I actually really like it. I think it's quite nice looking. So definitely pleased to have it. The Mini FSDs are, you know, they're very limited. I think they just broke 140 or 150. Now in this run, he had the option to anodize it and do other things. He went for the basic bare version. Again, this isn't much of a knife guy. So he went pretty simple on it, which I think is a good call. I personally like this style a little more than the anodized if you're only going to have one of them. I think as a collector, I appreciate having multiple. But I will say one of the things I appreciate that Craig Brown's doing is he's saying that he doesn't want the same people to buy these new off the website. So I will be thinking about what to do here, because I do want to always respect and honor the maker. And if the maker is trying to get more of these into the hands of enthusiasts, then I want to think about how I might be able to do that. I do appreciate that these are totally different patterns. This is pattern, well, not totally, but you know what I mean. The different patterns, you got pattern 2 in 154 cm and pattern 1 in 20 CV. But I also understand that, you know, only 150 people have any of these in their hands, and for me to have 2 in my hands is, you know, not necessarily ideal. And this doesn't even include my offensive third version, which is that I have one that is one of the original prototypes. Again, totally got all these off the secondary market, not off of the drops, but this is also in pattern number 1, and this is prototype number 1, one of the very first ones that he made. And this one is also 154 cm, but it doesn't say anything here. It just says Proto 1 on the actual blade itself, or on the handle itself. Now, one thing I did notice on this prototype was it appeared to have a slightly different texture, quite a thick texture on the blade. You can see those kind of more distinct, more widely spaced lines on the satin grind. And you can actually feel those, which is interesting. I don't know if he did something different on these prototypes, or if I'm just nerding out a little too much, but maybe it's just a particular one. It is quite an aggressive grind where you can really feel the texture on there, which is kind of cool. These, you can feel it a little bit, but it's more uniform. So that is an interesting little nuance I noticed about this prototype. And I don't know how that really makes sense, honestly, because I don't remember this being the case on the full-size FSD, but maybe I'm just not remembering. So again, if you change the grind, it's, you know, you already had a full run of FSDs, so I don't know. It seems like this is maybe a little more similar. I don't know. I'm probably going a little too deep in the details. Those seem pretty similar to me. So anyways, prototype was something I very specifically sought out. This is a total collector for me. You have Mini FSD that just came out on this latest run. Got that one again from a buddy that decided not to keep it after buying it. And then this one convinced a guy that I've since become friends with to sell to me on the secondary market. And that was my first that I had gotten. Then I got the prototype, and then recently just got my hands on the first run of 20 CV. So I have way too many Mini FSDs. What I really wish had happened is that I wish my friend had gone for pattern number 2 in 20 CV, and then I'd sell this one and have a 20 CV pattern 2 and a 154 on the prototype. But I got a little bit of an issue, so I think what I'll do is I'll go try and trade this to someone for one that's in pattern 2 in 20 CV if I can, or trade this one for one of the new ones in 20 CV or something like that. I gotta figure out how to do it, but I basically need to combine these two knives. Prototype's my prototype, that's pure collector, and then one of these could be like a carry knife if I can get pattern 2 in 20 CV. That'd be really neat. I know I'm a total collector nerd and totally nerding out on how I'm thinking about the collection, but this is a little bit of the mind of madness that's led me to the collection that I have, is trying to get a sampling of what these, you know, knife makers, these artists that are knife makers have done. And I love getting them into the collection and getting to share a little bit of what I've learned about them with each of you, and hopefully be able to consolidate this to something reasonable, because I really don't need 3 here. This could totally be 2 different knives, but I'll have to work on making that happen. I think hopefully with what I have here, that will make that very possible, because I can really figure out how to get rid of 2 of these, and that shouldn't be too hard with the market where it is, but I got to find the right person to do a trade or something along those lines. So again, sorry for letting you into the mind of madness there, but that's kind of how it works. All right, that's about it. Super excited to have this, at least get a sampling of the 20 CV. My rule of thumb is if I were to sell this out to either a subscriber or a friend, I'm going to also pass it on at table price, which is what my friend passed it to me at. And then I would ask you to not go scalp and try and make a profit, and just help hold the secondary market somewhat accountable, because it's gotten a little ridiculous here. And I don't know, maybe I'm on a meaningless and miserable crusade that will end in misery by doing so, but I do feel like some level of responsibility and or ability to use this platform to talk about some of the price gouging that's going on in the secondary market and the flipping, and that there's an opportunity for us to help each other out by not doing that so much, and talking to each other about it, thinking about it, kind of confronting the issue with knives that are rare like this, and trying to do some things to help each other out in the community. Look, if you got stuck like I did on this one, paying a pretty high secondary price, and it wasn't as high as they've gotten. I've seen these up $1,200, $1,300. I didn't go that bad, but I did give a pretty penny for this one. And if I want to try and not lose money, I'm going to have to find someone that might also be willing to get, pay this reasonable price that I paid on the secondary. And that is what it is, that at some point someone decided to do that. In this case, it was me. And then that gets passed along. So that's on me as a buyer. Also sort of, I don't want to say condoning, but in this case, it was the only way I could get this guy to sell it to me, because he wasn't really looking to sell it. And that's just kind of the price that we pay to sometimes get a hold of a knife. And then I also am contributing to the inflation of the secondary market. So don't love the fact that I did that, but at the same time, at the time, this was number 96, and almost no others, there had been less than 100 made basically at the time that I got this, or maybe there were like just over 100 made. It was just so rare. I justified my way into paying a couple bucks over the table. I didn't go again $1,200, $1,300 or anything like that. And I think it lets me go back, and I could sell this for less than $1,000, and that feels okay to me. I actually take a slight loss on that to contribute to reducing the secondary market price. I don't think a lot of people would do that, because I could definitely sell this for more. But I would, go out there and try and take a little hit, and then kind of move some of the mental funds into these other ones or whatever, in order to reduce my cost on this one and be able to provide it to someone at a more reasonable price. So that was 4 minutes of complete nonsense about the knives themselves. So I apologize for that, but that's kind of what's going on in my head about the secondary market. I've been trying to think of different ways to help, make that better, and that's one of them. So don't forget about the big full-size FSD though. Every time I have this out, it is a beautiful thing. Sorry, minis, just need to grab the big one for a second. I love how it will bounce like that. I'm purposely holding the button down so that it bounces like a monster. You can definitely trap it in there more and not let it bounce if you want to, and that's probably how you should do it, but the bounce is kind of fun and sounds cool. All right, all for now. Thanks to my buddy for making this available and being a friend of the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.